Hello, fellow travelers. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey. And today, sadly passed away the most beautiful man on earth, Alain Delon, a French actor, super famous for his gangster movies. And with his magical blue eyes, let's look at his chart. So that's Alain Delon. He passed at 88. Played with the most beautiful women in the cinema, and that's his chart. So he's an emotional generator, born on the right angle cross of the Sphinx. And you can see he's very individual. He has three individual channels. And yeah, what gives him his authority, the emotional authority, is the channel 3955, which is the channel of emoting. And also, uh, it is part of the stream of emoting. The gate of abundance, the 55th gate in the gate of spirit in the emotional center, and the gate of obstruction, the gate of provocation, the 39th gate. He was provocative, right? And this is the channel of the drama queen or king. In this case, it's the Marlon Brando channel, but now we can also call it the Alain Delon channel. And it's the channel of individual emoting and it's part of the individual circuitry, I wanted to say, and the channel of emoting. And it is really, hold on just a second. Mm, it is a design of changeable moods and excessive emotionality in a way. Uh, that's why we call it drama queen. They look from the outside, they look like they're not so emotional. And then suddenly it spikes up and the wave goes up and they're like super emotional, or it goes down and it spikes down. Suddenly they're in a very bad mood. So here it's he loves me not, he loves me, he loves me not. It's the romance, it's um all this love, passion, melancholy, and potential actually for sadness, that the fuel of the creative process, actually the 39th, provoking the spirit, the gate of spirit, looking for the right spirit. So a person who should not eat unless they're in the mood. Otherwise, there can be actually food disorders here. And it's very important who you eat with. If you cannot eat with somebody on one table, then those people are not for you at this moment. Or if you irritate people, it's the channel also of emotional provocation, 39 gate. Then if they're provoked by you and they cannot stand you, for instance, you're uh, eating and you're making some sound which makes them nervous, it's a provocation. They cannot stand it. They're not for you. So it's really about how open you are with your moodiness. Also, moodiness we have here. It's melancholic state, and there is no reason. It's just chemical. It's chemistry, and mm, you can really see in Alain Delon's expressions. There is so much emotionality that this guy is not flat. He's juicy. He looks at you very seductively, passionately. True passion, ethalon for passion and emotionality. Yeah. And also there is this friendship aspect here in 37 gate. And mm, just a second. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Um, yeah. So that's his authority, the emotional authority, adrenalized pressure for for feeling, for uh, being creative. It's a very creative energy as well. And also, there is no truth in the now. It takes time for clarity. Spontaneity is not healthy. And then we have here the sacral, which makes, and the Tujano, which make this person a generator. So we have the 5027, which is the channel of preservation. It's the channel of custodianship as well. Mm, and yeah, he has it twice here in his Uranus. So actually, that's his unusualness is in second line self-sufficiency, and in the fourth line generosity. And the whole channel um, is actually mm, part of the minor circuit, the defense circuit. So it influences the whole energetic body graph. And everywhere here he's emoting will be connected to mm, being, sensitive to or more to be um, supportive of looking for the right spirit, and the other way around. The right spirit will be when you can actually support the other, moral support or um, just tribal support. It's a tribal channel, the 5027. We have here um, part of the protection, defense circuit, as we call it, which is basically responsible for taking care of the offspring. You not only create the offspring, but you nurture it, you care it for it, you raise it, you educate it, you give it values, its moral support, prepare it for the future, to be able to preserve ourselves as species and to survive and develop intelligent strategies to survive in the now. We have, of course, the 27th gate in the sacral center, and it's uh, fueling in a way. It's motor, so it's giving the sacral life force to the instinct of how to survive in the current moment, how to be intelligent to survive, and not only survive, but strive and take care of the next generations, so to say, and to continue with mother, father wisdom in a way. And here you need to meet the right forces and to have the support in order to take care and take responsibility So this is one of the channels, and then we have the 214, the other generator channel, and it's a tantric channel. Tantric in human design means exactly the sacral motor giving um, energy and power to the G center. So all those channels between the sacral and the G are those four channels, 3410 as well, are the tantric channels. And this is Tantra because it's life itself pouring into the G center, which is the center of love, direction, and identity. So the vital energy, responsibility, availability, sexuality, fertility pours into the identity and love and direction, into the oneness of it all, of the totality, because that's what the G center represents. In the second gate, we have the gate of the driver, which keeps us in the illusion of separateness, but we're all one. So that's the Tantra it's meant here. It's, yeah, vital energy, sexual energy, creative energy. And yet it's about, yeah, indeed, it's about creation. It's indeed about pouring this potential um, into the totality and love and self. So it is the channel of the beat, which gives direction. And those people just carry that direction in them. It's called the keeper of the keys. And it's the core function of this channel is mutational direction in life. A person with this channel empowers direction into our lives through their personal direction and their being themselves and following their own higher self. And moreover, Alain Delon is born under the Sphinx, the cross of the Sphinx, and the Sphinx is here to give direction. As you can see, it looks like I like very much this. It looks like uh, Neptune's. Opa, sorry. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? The scepter, I think it's called, of the king, with one straight line here and two sideways. But basically, the Sphinx is the 2, the 1, the 7, and the 13. And it's the power to follow your own direction and be individual about it, be um, like give yourself to it, surrender. And then the Sphinx, according to their to what they respond to in this case, we have a generator to give direction to others by their very presence and their very energy. Simply, they themselves have the direction. So even on the street, they pass you and you don't even say a word, but you get into each other's aura and you might get a new creative direction. So we have here, we looked at those three channels, and then the third individual channel is 2838, the channel of the fighter, the channel of struggle, and the channel of stubbornness. This is persistence. Alain Delon is, he plays in those dangerous gangster movies. And known as being very persistent. He comes from a semi-bourgeois family, has been left after his parents divorced and started their own new families. He has several siblings, half siblings, but they, at the age of 6, I think it was, they gave him to foster parents. Um, and the father was prison guard. So he had his tough childhood. He later went on in the military, even took part in one war. And with the yeah, he went to live in America, and then he enrolled, and yeah, I forgot what was the war. But then, anyways, he comes back, and at the age of 22, he starts working in a cinema, and slowly, um, his Italian ancestry in his features apparently attracted the attention, and he took part in Rocco and his brothers movie, which kind of put him on the stage. Um, yeah, but he has this fighter channel. It's about having purpose and taking risks if it's worth it. Only if it's worth it. And you can there are these quotes of him, and he says, either you give yourself fully to love, or it's not true love. And yeah, other quotes which also talk about indeed this meaning, looking for meaning. If it's, if you give yourself to love, it should be, for really fully to give yourself to it and risk it all. Uh, he has the gate of the game player. Yeah. Mm, mm, mm. And this is the first part of his design. Also, yeah, he has the Gate of Joyous. So his two Marses are in interesting gates in 28-5, line of treachery, part of the stubbornness. And then his other Martian energy, which is the not um, mm, not being very mature, immature energy, energy dynamics in the fifth line defense. So both are in the fifth line. People were projecting onto him that he's offensive and uh, stimulates others. So this is love of life. You can really see love of life in him with his enjoying it, enjoying life. You can really see it. And that's it's a big source of energy, actually, although it's immature energy. With life, it matures. And then the other Mars, the line of treachery, the abuse of trust, the manipulation of the collective, and breaking alliances to align with more powerful forces. Probably, yeah. Indeed, he went to the military, but then to the movie business. So I guess changing allies where it's better for him. And indeed, a lot of struggle in his life, causes that he was supporting, and strong opinions on certain subjects. And he's a split definition, so open throat, which is interesting. He could actually um, explain and take different expressions and different actions, fluid in his actions. Probably he was talking too much. I don't know about that, but it's an open throat. Trying to organize and to stimulate. Yeah. And then, so attracting attention. Interestingly, he wasn't trying to do it, but he's a 2-4 profile. So he was just on the first floor, everybody could see, and he himself didn't even know. He didn't even realize. The second lines don't even realize how attractive they can be and what they project outside of themselves. All this Don Juan macho emotionality, drama, and stubbornness, um, fighter, and um, struggling for the right things, being so attentive and taking care. Oh my God, this is really, oh, and having this mutative direction and very creative army of soldiers and the 7th gate. I mean, this was a joke, but um, indeed, and the 13th gate, the gate of the listener. Here we have it in the 4th line, fatigue. So he's a hermit. The second lines, he could get fatigued from his network and maintaining the friendship. And yeah, so we have that's one part of him, the emotional generator who knows they're emotional, and the generator, those are in black, so he's aware that he's emotional and under pressure. And then the second part of him is his defined head and ajna, the 6447, which is the abstract channel. And it's a design of a thinker. It's thinking activity and clarity. It can be very inspiring, putting you under pressure. It's a pressure center to think, to move towards understanding and knowing and asking and expecting answers. Um, so with this defined head, he could be very inspiring, and knowing that 70% of the people have open head, not knowing what to think. Alain Delon was really looked quite stable and inspiring to what is important to think about that he would put in the environment. So we could say that 50% of the people are not emotional and he's emotional. So Alain Delon would be controlling the emotional environment. And then 30% of the people have an open head, and Alain Delon, sorry, 70% of the people have an open head, undefined head. So Alain Delon is inspiring. And then if we look at the spleen as well, giving a feel good with his nice, juicy energy, provoking us, the spirit and the playing. Yeah, playfulness. There is also playfulness in this channel. Taking life, easy. People with the spleen, defined spleen, they're more taking things jokingly. Look at those playful eyes, guys. Just look at it. He's playing with us. He says, he has a quote where he says, great actors, or no, he starts with bad actors. They're just pathetic, or something like that. Good actors, They really play well, and great actors. They just live in front of the camera. And you can see he just lived in front of the camera, being himself, just being himself. And those eyes, those facial expressions, those all of his design pouring through, inspiring, emotional, dramatic, moody, melancholic. Listen what the French president said about Alain Delon today. He said, Emmanuel Macron said, Mr. Kleiner Rocco, the cheetah or the samurai, Alain Delon played legendary roles and made the world a dream. He lent to us his unforgettable face to turn our lives upside down. Melancholic, popular, secretive. He was more than a star. He was a French monument. And you can really see it in his chart. Uh, so, yeah, if we look at basically we looked at his main channels. Then we have the open heart. So he doesn't like to be in control. And he's a trickster. And it's even called censorship. So he's remembering, and that's his focus and driving force, focus of the mind, to remember things in his favor, which can be, it's the memory here. So you remember in your favor how big the fish was for a fisherman. You know what I mean? And being a control freak, maybe, for part of the time. Might is right. The legitimacy of action, legitimacy of action in response to flagrant and persistent interference, powerful and extreme reaction, or a tendency to regret severity no matter how legitimate. The ego uncomfortable with severity. And because it's an open center here, undefined center, actually with him, it could go too much, too severe, too controlling, too tricksterous. Um, and trying to prove, trying to overpromise. He has, after all, 4 failed marriages. He tried to promise. He has 4 children, really productive, taking care of those children. And if we look at his Sun Earth, we have the first gate, second line, love is light. Venus exalted as a symbol of beauty, and he's the most beautiful man on earth. The required harmony between established values and ideals that enriches inspiration, self-expression conditioned by ideals and values. Like, sounds like the dream guy. Really love is light. And a little shy, very selective, not knowing his beauty, not knowing his love, projecting it outside. And on the other hand, the bad boy with a cigarette in his mouth, where the desires and passions have their place, but not at the expense of creation. Self-expression limited by desires and passions. And that limited him, his bad habits, his, you see here, it's again, we have Mars, so immature energy. And then if we look at his Earth, gate 2, second line, genius. He was the genius of the French cinema. A little bit crazy, genius is madness. Knowledge exclusively as power for the enhancement of the ego, the delusion that knowledge is power. And there's detriment, and then the exaltation, the inner strength to focus and realize, a natural gift for unlearnable knowing. It's the knowing circuit. And unconscious and unlearnable alignment of stimulus and response, the natural. Here we have the essence of the second line of the profile, the natural. He's just so natural. He just lives himself, and boom, he's the star. Love is light. And then when we look on the other side, his design sun and earth, the abdicator, the willingness to accept the judgment of the people and or the rule of law, the grace and wisdom to step down for the benefit of the whole, the capacity of the self to accept the judgment of others. Well, that means he's ultimately democratic and lets his network rule. So it makes it even more important with this channel 2750 and this gate in fourth line, his fourth profile, his network and his friends are very important. He has also the 37 gate. And yeah, I was also thinking about his open throat, you know, and his defined mind because there is so much going on here, he's thinking all the time. There's this thought process going on. And it's the gate of oppression, the 47th gate. So it keeps on repeating those images and different perspective, different points of view. And he wants to express it. What he sees, these abstraction, these images, he wants to express it, but with the open throat, he doesn't have access to it. And then I'm thinking, those guys who are really silent when they're themselves, in this here chart with the open throat in the non-self would talk too much, but actually the reason to come here with an open throat is to learn timing, to learn when to shut up and when to speak, when to act and when not, and have the tendency to overact or overspeak. But imagine when somebody shuts up, especially open throat, it's um, making the other speak. And those guys look so attractive, the silent types, the deep waters that you don't know exactly what's going on. And then you look into those deep, deep blue eyes, full of romance, full of feelings, full of so much going on under the neck, under the throat. So much going on. And on top of it, so much going on. All of this actually trying to get into direction throat. So all of this wants to come this way, wants to come out. All of those thoughts, he wants to make them a reality. He wants to speak them out. And then we have three motors here. Three motors. Also trying to express. So it's like schizophrenia, two people under the same roof. It is kind of a joke, but um it can be quite indeed, you don't feel whole when there is this gap. And he expressed it beautifully through his roles. You become master of expressing yourself because you don't have a consistent voice or a consistent way of acting. So you can become master of expression. Some of the best public speakers, for instance, Bill Clinton, they have open throats. And apparently Alain Delon also mastered expressing any other way, with their body language, with their um, facial expressions, the way he looks, this dreamy, dreamy look. And Then maybe he was trying to prove himself, not knowing when to stop, maybe over promised, over pushed himself too much, uh, not knowing his self-worth, not knowing how beautiful he is, combined with his second line, the hermit. And yeah, the 13th gate, we were actually up to here. The fatigue, the point of exhaustion eventually reached when one is too tired to fight. So you see, there is this opposition in his chart. He can become too tired to fight. On the other hand, he has to fight for the things which matter in order for it to be worth. Actually, here it's the fear of um, death, the fear that things don't worth fighting for them. And yet he has this emotional exhaustion, appeasement, and withdrawal, a role where openness is vulnerability. And maybe this made him even more attractive. His vulnerability. You could see his vulnerability and the renaissance that comes with truth and its eventual reinvigoration, openness, which leads to exhaustion and the need for silence. And yeah, he was a hermit. He lived in Switzerland at the end of his life. He even got Switzerland residence or something. Um, Not residence, but even citizenship. Yeah, he could withdraw, and on some occasions he did like his that he's famous and his popularity, and on others he just wanted to be left alone, like any second line, with their shyness and uh, having the other to break the barriers. A very strategic person, to the point, a fighter, as he's a tough guy. Actually, they call him the angel face tough guy, or the how was it? The tough. He was a tough guy and no dandy. Yeah, he definitely has all of this in his design. And what's also interesting, he has a good combination of the different aspects. So he has, of course, most of everything. He has individuality, your individual channels, and then he has one tribal channel, and then he has one collective. So this is a versatile person. He will connect on all counts with people. He is able to be individual and fight for his what's important for him and what his higher self direction is, and for the right spirit. And on the other hand, um, have the support of the tribe and give moral support back and take care and be caring, uh, and share all of that with the collective circuitry, share his thoughts. Although it was difficult to do it with words, he would probably be quite creative and quite mm, if he learned the wisdom of this center, knowing when to attract attention and when not, would be a great inspiration. Great, really, people with open throats, when they shut up and they only talk when they have something to say, when they're invited, and people are really listening to them, ready to hear what they have to say. They can express tremendous truths, people that others don't dare to express. And it can be one sentence, which puts everybody in awe. Right, spot on, you know? And then silence. Nobody has anything to add to that. I believe this is part of what Alain Delon's presence showed, you know. Just when he shows up, you don't need anything else. He's just there, impacting you with his moodiness, with his emotions, emotionality, with his intuition and fighter spirit, and yet tribal and supportive, caring, with his own individual direction and differentiated, hopefully, um, creativity in new ways, in new powers, and new, like the 14th gate is the gate of the pedal. So the pedal to the metal, and you have the creative direction, knowing where to go, having it inside of you, and what's the most beautiful way. That's what the Sphinx looks for. It's the most beautiful way. The individuality is looking for love, for beauty, for inspiration, and it comes and goes. It's a pulse mechanism. The pulsating love of light, direction, of beauty, and genius of the French cinema. Abdicating to the totality, fatigued from networking and trying to influence his network with what he mm, followed as his love and identity and love of the body also he has. Yeah, Alain Delon, interesting figure. The world, what I read today, he was very interesting because people really look at that person as mm, the etalon of masculinity, and he's a benchmark for the real man, a symbol of beauty, harmony, values, ideals. A legend has gone, and with him, an era is gone. The era of the real man, the manly man with the soft heart that you take out his soul with cotton and honey. Isn't he the perfect one? Huh? And at the same time, the bad boy, the womanizer with a cigarette in his mouth and taking pleasures of life, provoking you with his stubbornness and his own ways, a little bit deaf to what you have to say and open to his direction, his fight, his sense, his emotionality and moodiness and melancholy, which could even lead to probably depressing moods from time to time. Well, a legend is gone, and a book has been read. Till the next life and incarnation. This is all from me, Veronica from Human Design Journey. If you enjoyed this short analysis of this amazing actor, Alain Delon. I would be glad if you leave me a like or you comment. If you have something to add, I would love to hear it and to read it actually in YouTube. And if you want to hear about somebody else famous, some other famous chart, I'm willing to look into it and see whether I have a response to do something more. I know that it's interesting, and also me as a fifth line, for me it's interesting to watch. You know, I'm on the second floor watching, so I'm kind of in harmony. I'm a harmonious profile to Alain Delon. Maybe that's why I was so drawn into. Plus, you know, he also has Sun Earth in the first and second gate. Me as well. I'm actually the left angle of the Sphinx. I'm the Defiance. And with me, it's the other way around. My sun is in the second gate, line 5, and Earth first gate, line 5. Um, yeah, it was a pleasure for me to share my take on this chart. And I hope it was interesting and time well spent with me. Thank you for being here. And if you want, you can come back for more. Do you want to? Bye for now.